this one, I still don't know exactly what it is. I call it bliss. So
Bliss. Okay.
bliss, yeah. I was falling asleep one day, and usually every night when I go to sleep, I just kind of let go completely. And I'm laying there, and I start getting these like pulses. And I sleep on my stomach, and I'll tell why that's significant. So I
Okay.
started getting these waves of like good feeling. I don't know what it is, and I'm just kind of just laying in it, just amazed by it. And then the more I let go, the more I felt it. So then
Mhm.
at one instance, it covered my entire body, like for at least 5 whole minutes. It was the greatest feeling I ever felt. I thought, if I die right now, it's fine. If this is what death feels like, if this is what the afterlife feels like
Mhm.
perfectly fine. We don't need to do anything. I don't have to go back for anything. I'm fine. And it felt great. But at the same time, there was a small part of me that had like a drop of fear, like, what is this? What is going on right now?
Mm.
Um, I kind of imagine like behind me, because again, I'm laying still. I don't want to move because I don't want to stop this feeling. Um, but at the same time, I don't want to look to see what's over me, because it felt like maybe angels or something were surrounding my entire body, giving love, in a
Mm.
sense. And I can't prove that. I have that. It's just what came to my mind when it was happening.
Yeah.
But again, it was the most powerful, blissful feeling I've ever felt. I felt the
This is Dale Cross, and welcome to another edition of the Soul Inspire podcast. This is the audio video podcast that features spiritually uplifting stories from awakening souls to help inspire you on your own soul journey. And on this episode, my special guest is JClay. He is a spiritual rap artist. How cool! That makes music to heal even the most reluctant of minds. His mission is to help people around the world find and keep peace always. He is one of the leaders of the spiritual hip hop movement, using music to expose the false beliefs that limit growth. JClay's album, I Am Nobody, I Am Someone, has been endorsed by industry and psychology professionals, music fans, and is being heralded as a key tool in healing the mind. The way JClay is able to break down the mind-body-soul connection in song form in reference to healing is truly remarkable, says Dr. Nicole LePera, holistic psychologist. As one fan said, if Jesus rapped, it would be this. JClay is thrilled to change how music can be used to heal for good. I love it. JClay, welcome to the show.
thank you, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. Yeah.
All right, I'm excited too. Let's get this started. I want to start out by asking you a question I ask everyone, which is, what kind of spiritual background do you have?
So my spiritual background is I studied A Course in Miracles.
Right.
I started studying it in 2018, and it was like the missing pieces to everything that I thought spiritual. It's like I had the puzzle almost complete, and in the center I was missing key pieces. And A Course in Miracles, it filled in all the gaps, and I knew I had to change my life. I knew I had to live differently. I mean, it wasn't that much differently, but it was significant.
Okay, now did you have any kind of background as a child, like any religious background or anything like that that led you up to the Course in Miracles?
Actually, no. So, but before that, as a kid, I've always believed in God. I don't know why or how. I always had a relationship with God as well. I always talked with God.
Hmm.
My family wasn't really a church going family. But in high school, I started, I played in a band, and I played the saxophone, and I started visiting churches and kind of listening there. But I've always had questions that I just couldn't answer. And when I would ask people, they would say, you shouldn't ask that, or, that's blasphemy or something. So I started reading the Bible just to get the answers for myself.
Hmm.
I was shocked by how people were living or saying that they were living, and they said that they followed the Bible, but it wasn't in accordance. And I studied that for a while, just trying to get to the truth.
Hmm.
Um, and I picked up little things here and there, but like I said, A Course in Miracles was the game changer, where I couldn't find any flaws in its logic. And when I tested it out, it worked. Yeah.
That's cool. So, who was it that introduced you to, how did you come across A Course in Miracles?
Yeah, so I was actually listening to a an ASMR video, and
Oh.
the lady Jill Brennan, I think is her name. She was reading an excerpt from Jesus, My Autobiography,
Mm,
and that book is a channeled book from yeah, it's a channeled book, and it is Jesus giving his what happened in his life.
mhm,
And at the time when I heard that excerpt, I was confused because I never knew about channeling before.
mm,
But what Jesus said in that, because he was chronicling when he became enlightened in a sense when he got baptized, and how he described it, I was thinking like this could really be real. Like this matches my idea based on what I read of him in the Bible. And that's significant because I've seen interpretations of him, and I'm like, nah, that's too. It doesn't match that. So in that book, I got the book, the PDF. I read it within a day. In that book, he said that's why I wrote A Course in Miracles. And so I looked up A Course in Miracles. It was by a different publisher, different author, which is it's also a channeled book. But
mm.
I knew there that there's something special to this. So I bought it, and when I started reading it, it was a slow read because it's a lot of information. It's not written in an easily digestible way, but
Mhm.
I was determined because this was the truth that I always was looking for.
So this has always, from day one, resonated with you on some level.
Yes,
Would you
yeah,
say that?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now Course in Miracles is an interesting work in that it seems to be quite cryptic. Well, to me. Do you know what I mean by that? Like it seems to be not something that's easily understood by the mind. Would you say that it has to be understood by the heart more than the mind?
Well, actually, I think it plays to the mind the way
Oh,
that
okay.
it's written. Um, because like I said, like I'm big on that, trying to understand things, getting to the
Oh,
root, want to know why, like why does evil exist? Why is, if God is good, why does he let people die and all of this? And
mhm.
it speaks to all of that. It has answers. The logic is perfect because I mean it's truth. Like truth has no opposite. Truth can remain on its own whether someone believes in it or not. And when you get confronted with it, you just know.
What is it that stands out the most for you in the Course in Miracles? That
A
what is
Course in
it that
Miracles,
resonates? What is it about that speaks truth to your heart?
that everything is total. Like there's no separation. And what I mean is, a good example is what what you give, you receive back. So if I'm looking at someone and I'm judging them as hateful, in a way, I'm being hateful toward them. So I'm that I'm accusing them of, I'm experiencing myself. Like it's
Mm.
it's it what's Newton's law? For every action,
Uh,
there's an equal and opposite reaction. Like it's that perfectly with everything. And when you start to step outside and observe even your thoughts, what you're sharing with people, you get to see like, wow, I'm adding to this. I'm creating these circumstances. If I want peace, I have to be willing to give peace even to those that would war with me.
yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really a message of love, would you say?
Right.
So love, where Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do, seems to be pointing out to the idea that uh, our so-called enemies or people that mistreat us need the most love from us, yes? And it seems
Yes.
like if we, because there seems to be a lot of in the world, there seems to be in, I guess, in the illusory world, but it's still real on some level, is a lot of revenge-oriented thinking.
Yeah.
Like, if you do this to me, I'm going to get back at you. And I feel like I never could understand that. That never resonated with me, even when I was a child.
Yeah.
Uh, one child bullied me, and I would go home and pray for the kid.
That's
But this
beautiful.
idea of standing up and getting even, I don't know, it just never really worked for me because I feel like I mean, obviously I was a kid, so I probably didn't know it at the time, but now I see it as like nobody, nobody affects our vibration, but what we do is, like some people say that person lowers my vibration. I'm like, no, they don't. You lower your vibration and meet them. It's like you're going down to their level type of thing. And I'm like, uh, I guess the beautiful thing about Course in Miracles is that love is the answer for everything, yes?
Yeah. And that's one of its main messages is that it's either love or call for love. So, if someone is being hateful, they're really just calling for love and you could meet it. But oftentimes, like you said, we meet that hate with more hate. And
Yeah.
so it never ends.
It just perpetuates the cycle, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's no solution from that. So it's like, okay,
exactly. Yeah.
very interesting. So, okay, so you didn't come from a religious household. You never really had any church background, but you sort of, I guess when you were in, was it, did you say in high school, you started searching out different churches and stuff. And then, is that right?
Well, I wasn't searching. It was just that I was in a band and we
Okay.
played in churches. And I visited churches of friends, like if I spent the night or was
Hmm.
somewhere with people that went to church.
Hmm.
So I mean, it wasn't a negative experience. I
Hmm.
just didn't grow up in that.
Yeah, 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 that's interesting. So, how did your family, are your parents still with us?
Yes, yeah,
How do they react? Have you shared this Course in Miracles stuff with them? How do they react to that? How do they respond?
yeah. So it's interesting. So my dad, he's been very spiritual. He might not have lived it all the time. So it's like, but he kind of indoctrinated me a little bit. Like he would say certain things that stuck with me, and later in life, I got it. So I mean, he's definitely happy, and my mom, she is as well. But at the same time, um, how do I say this? In the beginning, like she's come around. In the beginning, she's
Mhm.
shown some of the behaviors that the course talked about, like using guilt to try to get what you want. And again, it's no fault in her because I could sometimes be a detached son, not sharing a lot of info, and she'll resort to guilt, like I'm your mother, can you do this? And then I'll try to speak doctrine to her, and it wouldn't be well received. So
Okay.
but she is happy. She's happy with this. She sees the changes and
Oh,
she's
good.
understanding now. About yeah, it's all love.
Okay, and you have a wife, and is your wife, because you told me that before we started recording, how does your wife receive this? Is she on the same spiritual page as you?
Not exactly, no.
Oh, okay.
Like I've never forced this
Yeah,
on her, but
yeah.
she definitely sees again the changes. Because in this it's no way to not like when you see someone always choosing peace, always sharing love, like
Mm,
it affects everything, which is part of what I like to teach is that you are the creator of your environment. So
that's
if
right.
you keep adding love to it, it's gonna reflect love back to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So cool. And now you are a musician, as I said at the in our introduction. How has this played into your music? Now you obviously your music is heavily influenced by A Course in Miracles, from what it sounds like, or at
Yeah,
least by the idea of love.
right. It's so
Tell me about that.
it changed my music completely. So before A Course in Miracles, I was your typical rapper. I mean, I was very good at it.
Hmm.
But the message was consistent with normal rap things like I'm better than you. I have the best this I'm full of confidence,
Yeah.
things like that, which aren't necessarily bad things. But sometimes it can paint a picture of what do you call it? Of division where it's saying like I'm this but you're that, like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
better than you, I'm more special than you, and you're that, like that. It had that kind of message as an undertone. Like it wasn't blatant. I would still share wisdom, I would still share positivity because I'm a positive person.
Hmm.
But once I really understood the core of what the A Course in Miracles taught and how what I give I receive, I ended up deleting a lot of unreleased music
Hmm.
because it imperfectly matched that frequency, and I didn't want to add to people having that play in their psyches because I
Hmm.
mean it can affect your world that what you take in. So
Hmm.
it yeah, it changed everything.
It can. Okay, so now with the Course in Miracles, did you find when you first got into it that it was hard to understand?
I didn't, only because I was so determined to understand it. Um,
Okay.
so I went with the intention that I have to understand this. This is it. It's
Oh, okay.
I'm not like, there were times that I read the same line maybe 15 times before I moved on because I
Okay.
was just so determined to get it.
Mm.
Um, and I didn't realize it until I joined study groups later, but I actually understood it on a level that many haven't. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm special, but I will say people did go with the intention that this is going to be hard to understand. And
No.
and that's the thing to remember. Like, our intention
Yeah.
sets forth, our what we intend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you went in with the intention of being able to understand and connect with
Right.
it, and then that's what you got. Okay. So how many years have you been studying that?
So yeah, since 2018. So
Oh, it's been for a while.
yeah. So I'm not, so I can't say that I'm actively studying it now. I
Hmm.
live it now. And occasionally I might crack back open the book. But I guess
Mm.
for like maybe 3 or 4 years, I really studied it.
So what you're saying is it sunk in,
Right.
the teaching sunk in, and now you're able to embody
Yeah.
the teachings.
Yeah.
And it's about embodying the teachings more than it is about studying the teachings. So you don't really
Right.
need to study them so much anymore. You've got that foundation now.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
well, I actually have a cool story with how I embodied it and made the switch to follow it wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Um, it was one time I was playing basketball and it got physical with another guy, and it was at that space before a fight was about to happen. Like I went for a rebound, I accidentally maybe elbowed him in the head or something, and it wasn't intentional. But because we were talking stuff, getting heated in the competition realm, he came up to me and looked down on me because he has me beaten height by like 4 or 5 inches.
Hmm.
So he's looking down, and I felt that we were about to fight. And so I am a black belt in Taekwondo. My
No.
first thought at the time was, okay, maybe I sweep him, he falls, I can hit him. But then I thought I can never come back to the court. It'll be too awkward. But then my next thought was, okay, am I really gonna accept what I'm teaching? Because I'm teaching it at this point. And I'm really gonna accept what I'm teaching and what I'm learning and what I know to be true, or am I gonna go back to my old ways? So I said, okay, I'm going to choose love. Whatever happens, happens. So I let down my guard. I looked at him with all the love I could muster. And so in this point, he could do anything. Like, he could hit me. I could be knocked out for a long time. There's no defense put up at all. Defenses put up. And in that moment that I did that, he said, you know what? I'm getting too serious. I'm going to check myself out of the game.
Wow.
And yeah, and me and him have been real cool ever since. And I've started because of that. Like, that was one of the more extreme cases. But since then, I've done that in so many relationships, so many circumstances. And the others, they didn't know it, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna choose love. It's not about who's right, who's gonna win, or anything. And that was enough for me. I was like, wow, this works.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
really beautiful. So you transmuted the situation, you alchemized it
yeah,
by coming from a vibration of love. That's what you put out, you get back, right?
yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, tell me a little bit about your spiritually transformative experience, or STE. You haven't had a classical NDE. We have a lot of people on the show with that, but we're also very interested, just as interested in STEs, or spiritually transformative experiences. You had one particularly of an ego death. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that one, okay, I've had at least two STEs, but this one is a little different. So the first is the ego death. This was in the midst of me studying A Course in Miracles. I really understood that I wasn't my past. And I realized how
Oh.
much of my past I kept bringing to every moment, like a past of maybe struggle, a past of heartache, a past of I've been done wrong in some kind of way, like being the victim. And
Mm.
I realized how that played a role in my world, my present. And
Mhm.
so with that realization, I kind of mourned myself. Like, I was sad for maybe a full week, and I couldn't understand why I was sad. I was like, why am I so sad? But I was really mourning who that person was, everything that he stood for, everything that he believed in, all the trauma that he carried. Um, and once it was let go of, everything was different. Like everything was physically the same, but the whole world looked brighter, happier, more fun. Everything was just completely different, and it was no looking back.
Okay, that's incredible. Okay. And did you say you had another STE as well? You said you had a couple, right?
Yes, this one I still don't know exactly what it is. I call it bliss. So
Bliss. Okay.
bliss, yeah. I was falling asleep one day, and usually every night when I go to sleep, I just kind of let go completely. And I'm laying there, and I start getting these like pulses. And I sleep on my stomach, and I'll tell why that's significant. So I
Okay.
started getting these waves of like good feeling. I don't know what it is, and I'm just kind of just laying in it, just amazed by it. And then the more I let go, the more I felt it. So then
Mhm.
at one instance, it covered my entire body, like for at least 5 whole minutes. It was the greatest feeling I ever felt. I thought, if I die right now, it's fine. If this is what death feels like, if this is what the afterlife feels like
Mhm.
perfectly fine. We don't need to do anything. I don't have to go back for anything. I'm fine. And it felt great. But at the same time, there was a small part of me that had like a drop of fear, like, what is this? What is going on right now?
Mm.
Um, I kind of imagine like behind me, because again, I'm laying still. I don't want to move because I don't want to stop this feeling. Um, but at the same time, I don't want to look to see what's over me, because it felt like maybe angels or something were surrounding my entire body, giving love, in a
Mm.
sense. And I can't prove that. I have that. It's just what came to my mind when it was happening.
Yeah.
But again, it was the most powerful, blissful feeling I've ever felt. I felt the pulses since then, but I'd never gotten to the full state since that day. But
Mhm.
it's very beautiful, and yeah, it's no way to describe it.
So it left an indelible mark on your memory. You have a very strong, clear remembrance of this. How long ago was that?
Maybe a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you find how does the what your how does A Course in Miracles affect your day-to-day living? Because you say now you don't study as much, but you embody that. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about how you embody A Course in Miracles on a day-to-day basis. You're like constantly walking in a state of bliss and love, or like joy. You have inner
Yeah.
joy all the time. Tell me about that.
So yeah, so I try to stay in the moment as much as possible. I try to look at myself objectively for cues. Like if I'm not as happy as I want to be, why am I not? Like, this is strange. I need to clear my mind. Whether it's meditate, I walk outside at least a couple hours every day,
Mm,
because it just clears my mind just to be in nature.
yeah.
I'm always trying to, yeah, just be in that state, being mindful of situations. Like I know that every conversation I have, or every relationship I have, is a holy relationship or a holy conversation. Like there's
Mm,
always wisdom that's going to be both shared and received. And so sometimes I may find myself in a situation or a conversation that I think I don't want to be in, but as one of the tools you learn from A Course in Miracles, you check back in and say, okay, you ask the Holy Spirit, what's the meaning of this? How can I invite you in? How can I invite love in? And it literally changes the dynamic. And what's cool about it too is
mm.
I almost like coming up with things that aggravate me,
No.
because it shows me a belief that I haven't let go of yet.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
right. So initially it's like, oh, why does this bug me so much? But then it's like, wait a minute. Oh, here's something else that I thought that I took care of that I haven't yet.
Mm,
So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'll say this for those who aren't familiar with the Course in Miracles.
mhm,
They have a workbook that's filled with 365 lessons, so one lesson a day. And in it, like, you have a different thought that you kind of program yourself with every day.
mhm.
Uh, like love is all there is, or God is the light with which I see, like things like that. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so cool. So now, okay, so you've been a musician. How many years have you been a musician? All
Since
your
high
life?
school.
Since
So
high
maybe
school.
since 97, 96, maybe a long time.
So this is all, and obviously, so rap is something that's just come naturally to you. It's not something you
No,
have to
not at
work.
all.
Oh, you had to work at it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
the story with that, like I was always a musician, and I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't think I was cool enough. I didn't think I had anything to say. So I
Mm.
settled for a producer. I was a music producer making
Oh.
beats and everything for different rappers that I encountered.
Hmm.
And I started off making silly songs just to make my friends laugh. And I had people that said, "Oh, you're pretty good. You should get on this song for real." And then I started to slowly start taking it seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's obviously your passion, right?
Yeah. Yes,
You
definitely.
love doing that. And on this channel, we're all about living from our true nature, which I feel is joy, and coming from joy and living our highest joy in each moment. And one of the ways to do that is to connect with your soul's purpose, passion, mission. Obviously, for you, that is using rap as a vehicle to express your divinity. And I think that's beautiful. So, and you feel passionate about it. What what is the what is the best part about using your rap music to express your divinity? Because you're obviously expressing this message of love
Yeah.
through your music, yes?
Yes. So
What's
I found that even more than music, I love teaching. Like I love
oh,
sharing this message and crafting it in such a way that everyone gets it. Because again, like you said, A Course in Miracles can be a very daunting task to read and understand and assimilate as part of you. And it's just cool to just break it down and see someone actually get it, like see someone actually choose love in the moment.
mm,
um One of the things that I like to share, that even in the moment, if you still choose your normal way, but you stop to consider it, like that's a big breakthrough, because before you didn't stop to consider it, you would just go on and do what you normally do. um so yeah, it means a lot, because in some aspects you could even say it's selfish of me to do this, because teaching and learning are one. So the more I teach something, the more I learn it. But the more I give something, the more I receive. So the more love that I give, the more I receive. And I want to receive all the love that I can receive. So
yeah.
it's a selfish mission, but it's not really selfish.
Well, I mean, selfish. I don't know if you've heard of Abraham Hicks.
Yes.
But I don't know if you, I really, really love their teachings, and they say selfishness is self-care.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
love yourself first, and then you can give love to everyone around you. And of course, you receive back what you put out. I think that selfishness in a positive way, in a good
Yes.
way, because we're all one, right? And so we're all give and take, give and receive.
Right.
And okay, well, I can't wait to listen to your music now. Where are some of the places that people can find your music?
So yeah, you can find it everywhere music is consumed. So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, on my website, which is jclay.org, everywhere. Yeah, and I would say start with the song "Let Go," which is that's one of my more popular songs.
Let go. So it sounds like a song about surrender.
Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, what if there was one thing you could share with everyone, what would it be? If you could say just one thing to the world, what would it be?
Yeah. Trust. And I guess to expound on it further, your your higher self guided you to this moment right here, right now. So they vetted it for you. They looked at everything and said, this is the best way for you to be where you want to be or get to where you want to get to. And if you just surrender, if you let go, if you trust, you will see the miracles that exist in this moment. You'll see all the gifts that are here just for you. Because your higher self is a part of you. And so they want what you want. And just trust. every moment, every situation, no matter where you are.
I love it. That's beautiful. JClay, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
And everyone, please check out his music. I think it's a real blessing to the world, and you'll find that it'll make a huge difference in your life if you check out his music and purchase his music. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks, everyone. Join us again next time. The Soul Inspire podcast is brought to you by DaleCross.net. Discover the freedom, bliss, and ecstasy within you. At DaleCross.net, I can help connect you with your soul's purpose, passion, and mission. Your soul signed up for something great. Discover what it is with the tools I offer. Book a free one-on-one consultation now at DaleCross.net and live your greatness.